ma'am, are you there? Could we start?
Yes, I'm here. I'm here. I just
Great.
wanted to
So,
say, Aishwarya, that if there's just me and you just want to stop the session, it's fine with me. I've got lots of other stuff to do. It's difficult for you, isn't it, to just do it like that without enough people here?
not really. I'm just really excited to be
Okay.
psychoeducating
Okay,
about
I'm
this.
happy to hear what you have to say.
All right. Thank you. That's very nice of you.
No, not at all.
Okay,
All
so
right.
Aishwarya, we are live. We can start.
All right. So, my name is Aishwarya, and I'm a counseling psychologist associated with the Able Mind. And today, what we're going to be essentially talking about is a very up and coming topic that often we don't seem to recognize much, but is extremely important. We're going to be talking about stress and daily worries in our day to day lives. Now, I'm pretty sure that all of us know the effects of stress. We have so many stressors in our life every single day that come up, old ones, new ones, some that we've been carrying along with us for years, and on the other hand there are also events or incidents that keep coming up that make us feel worried or tensed. As we start, we'll first look at what stress is, and we'll take it from there onwards. Stress is essentially something that affects all of us regardless of age, whether we are a child or a young adult or a much older adult. It affects all of us every single day. And it is beyond what anybody says. It is actually a healthy part of our life. It is a very natural thing in our life that happens. And even though we often associate stress to be negative, in small amounts it can actually be quite helpful and healthy for us, be it for getting tasks done or for achieving goals or even reaching milestones. Stress is helpful and it helps us. On the other hand, when there is too much stress in our life, when it seems to be going overboard, that is when it becomes difficult and hurtful to us in many ways. That being said, it is very important for us to know how we manage stress. Before we start, so that is what we're going to be talking about in this workshop today. I have designed this workshop to take it in a way where we are going to be looking at what stress is, how it seems to come up, and we'll also look at what are some simple, small, effective ways to manage them. So that is the topic. But before we go ahead, would it be okay if we could do like a small activity? It'll just take a few minutes.
Yeah, sure.
All right. So I do see that we have two participants. That's great. So there's Meera ma'am and then there is Daksha ma'am also. Right. We're going to be doing this thing where could you tell me what you're feeling today in one simple word? It doesn't have to be a feeling word either. Could be a color.
I can say a little stressed.
Okay.
Yeah.
You did mention you have a lot of things to do today, so I guess
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
all right. And how about our other participant? I think we have Daksha Dilip. Anything that you'd like to say here? Anything what you're feeling for the day? Mm. Hi.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi.
Thank you for joining.
Yeah, thank you. No, I have just joined, so no
Okay.
idea for this one. Yeah.
Oh, no problem. So we were just doing this small activity where
Okay.
I was asking Meera ma'am and you on how what would you say you're feeling today in one word?
Feeling good?
Oh, good. That is great. I'm so happy to hear that. Awesome. So, well, I also participate since it's just three or four of us here. I also feel great. So I'm right on board with you there. Yes. So, Lakshma ma'am, we're talking about stress and daily worries in our life. That's our topic.
Okay.
Okay. So now that let's go ahead. Thank you so much, both of you, for telling me how you feel. I'll keep that in mind. Hopefully, Meera ma'am, by the end of the session, you might have a better idea on what you can do about this stress.
Okay.
Yes. So, moving on, we looked at what stress is. We looked at how it seems to affect us. So, let's look at it a little more deeply. Now, when we say I am stressed, there are two ways to it. One, there are these stress responses come out physically through our body, and it also comes out mentally and emotionally. Most of the time, as laymen, we always talk about the mental effect of it. That when I say I'm feeling stressed, I mean that I'm feeling worried and tensed and irritated and annoyed, all of that things. But we often look down on what are the body responses we have when we are stressed. Biologically speaking, when there is a stressor or when there is something that comes up that our mind feels is difficult to get by, there are hormones like cortisol and adrenaline, which I'm pretty sure you would have come across. And these two hormones are the primary hormones that help us to, I mean, they make stress levels go up and down in our body. When there is a dysregulation, cortisol levels seem to shoot up, and that is when we say we are stressed. Because of this dysregulation happening in our body, there are a lot of sensations that show up in our body physically. And that is when we start having heart palpitations, or when we start sweating, or some of us even start having tensed muscles, or there are soreness of muscles. And there are also things like some of us keep fidgeting. A lot of these symptoms are also seen mostly with anxiety, but most of the time, it's also very closely associated to stress. That being said, what are these daily worries? And what are these daily incidents that seem to make us feel extremely stressed? Now, it doesn't have to be anything big. That's what I mean to say. It could be the small thoughts that come up to us every single day. And these thoughts can be very repetitive in nature. When I say that, it could be something as small or big as when we are worried about our loved ones' health, when we are worried about what is going to come up in terms of our own health or finances also. And over time, even though it seems small right now, they seem to build up a lot. And one day is when we build up like a pressure cooker and it all seems to come down on us and blast. Those are the days we say that we are stressed. And these thoughts seem to linger every single day. And when I did say that these were daily worries, that means these are thoughts that come up to you every other day. It could be as simple as, did I take my medicines today? Did I talk to this person about this person? Or did I remind myself to be asking something, following up on something? Or is much more hectic, intense thoughts like, am I a burden to my family members? If I go here and if I fall down, if I hurt myself, am I going to be putting more stress on other members of my family? If I run out of money, am I going to be a burden? All of these things, even though they seem as passing thoughts, are actually holding a lot of intense feelings for us. That being said, these are the stresses. But then again, we're also looking at how stress affects this set of population. Here in Gen 60, we're also looking at a very age specific type and how it affects this particular set of people, right? That is all of you. Now, it is not uncommon for us to know that as we age and our mentally, emotionally, and physically, a lot of things start to decline. This doesn't mean in any way mean that you're getting weaker emotionally, but it just means that some things tend to become a little more harder to deal with than the others. Now, one, physically, we are having declining immunity. We are having declining health as we grow older. You might also notice that sometimes we will have issues with sleep patterns growing up in youth might have been perfect. I've heard my parents, my grandparents say that you sleep early, you're going to wake up early, your body has a biological clock to it. It'll work exactly like that, which is true. Sometimes as we grow older, even these patterns are disrupted. This is not because we're doing anything wrong, it's also because the body in itself is going through so many changes, and because of that there might be hormonal shifts that's happening. That is that. Then we also have cognitive decline or cognitive effects that come up, like memory and concentration and focus. All of these factors are also very affected. Then we also have an aggravation of an illness, in the sense if there is an illness already persisting. It could be something as simple, very commonly. A lot of people, a lot of our population or society is diabetic or have hypertension or have a combination of both of these morbidities. Oftentimes, I wouldn't say refuse, when we are unable to take care of it in much deeper senses of our health as we grow older, they tend to aggravate or worsen over time. Now, this doesn't in any way mean that something that you're doing is wrong. It also takes, the body also has a mind of its own. It's not just the decisions that we take. And sometimes things seem to fall off. There are also other illnesses that develop as we grow older, like arthritis. Even though it can be genetic, there could be other issues, even neurocognitive issues that can come in. And these are not in anybody else's control per se. These are stresses, and when you already have these things, these conditions happening as you grow older, as you go through life's natural journey, when you are stressed, it just seems to add on to all of that. So we'll also, keeping this in mind, let's also look at what are some other common sources of stress at this point of life. Now we have health concerns, which we just spoke about, right? We could be worried about how we're going to be managing it. Now, when we talk about health, it is so vast. When we talk about managing it, it's not just about somebody else being there to help you with it. There are also other concepts like finances going into it, which brings me to my next point, financial security. As we grow older, no matter where we are old or young, living is expensive. Living is difficult unless we manage otherwise. Money is important for us to survive. As we grow older, we are also going to be worrying about retirement. Most of you might have been people who have dedicated your lives professionally, career wise, no matter what it is. You've been working all through your lives, you've been trying to save money, and then suddenly hits retirement. There is a huge shift happening in your life. That is why we say that this is a period of time we need to be very sensitive and compassionate to ourselves. That being said, we also have a lot of emotional concerns and stresses that come by, like loneliness or loss or demise of our loved ones or partners, which which is never easy. Be it said, it's very painful for us to see our loved ones passing away, no matter what age. It just becomes much more difficult to cope when we hit a certain point in life. Then we have role changes. Now, I would say this has both good and bad sides to it. Role changes, and I say, like I said, retirement. You were a working individual. Now you're going to retire. Think of what to do ahead. Take on a new role. Or on the brighter side, you might be becoming grandparents, or you might be just staying at home. And that becomes, you become caregivers again in your life. There was a brief period of time you wholly, solely dedicated yourself to that. And now you're going back to that, but in a much more different way. And that is a shift in roles. So that transition in itself, while on the outside it looks great, having retired, being a grandparent, it looks nice. It in itself also adds on to stress generally because you'll realize that it might be your physical health or other factors don't quite support you to do the job as effectively as you did it when you eventually started out. That leads me to tell you that there is also very reduced physical ability. I've heard my grandparents say that it is difficult and the body in itself gives out little by little. While you can do your absolute best, and I really appreciate seeing older people, going on a whole fitness spree. You can do it, of course. But then again, the age in itself does bring challenges, and that is not something that we can deny. There will come limitations. When these physical limitations come by, it's also difficult to accept it emotionally or mentally. It does take time. Then we have technological changes, wherein as new generations come by, there are new technologies coming up. It is frustrating. It is irritating to deal with new features and new gadgets all the time. It does every time something new comes up, you have to rework and relearn it all over again, which is frustrating. Then we have lastly fear of dependence. Like we were talking about before, right? The whole question, am I a burden to my family members? Am I a burden to somebody else? That worry and fear of losing control about our own life, over our own life, can be really, really intense on us. These are the stresses. These are some of the common stresses that we see in life, some sources that we see in life. Now we will look at what is the challenge in coping with this. Now we know that this is the stressor. Now we're only stressed if we're unable to deal with it. So let's look at what is contributing to that inability to deal with it or why we are not able to deal with it. Some of the challenges are very low social support. This could be family members, this could be friends, this could be other social circles in our life as we reach that point of time. It could be possible that support often decreases. Not necessarily that we are cutting them off, but also to remember that everybody is also on their separate journey of life and everybody is also moving ahead in their own pace. Sometimes people don't seem to be moving ahead in the same pace as ours. Because of that, we would end up having very less support and we would realize that we are more lonelier than we think we are sometimes. Then physical limitations, like we just spoke about, right? As we grow older, there are things our body gives out. There are, and no matter what we do, there are certain illnesses that we have that could bring in a lot of pain and mobility issues as well. Then we have resistance to new strategies like the gadgets and technological changes that we have. It's not necessarily that we do not want to resist it, it just happens because it's a limitation that we have. Then, something that is very looked down upon, and this I personally watch for, is that there is a lot of stigma around mental health in older generations. And I have noticed that this is mostly because we assume that people older than us have everything sorted out. We assume that our grandparents have cracked the code on how to not be lonely or how to not be anxious or how not to be depressed. Because of that assumption, there is a huge stigma around it, as even in that generation, mental health was not that fairly discussed as we do right now in this generation. Back then, mental health was not even a thing that you hold workshops on or talk a lot on and sit and look into research papers into. And that is not purely on anything related to awareness. It is mostly because I like to think of it that people often looked at other things and prioritized other things in their life than their mental health, even though it is extremely important. These are some limitations, some challenges that we see while we are trying to cope with these said stresses. Now, last one is, another one is also about grief. We spoke about losing support. We spoke about losing partners and loved ones as life takes us forward, as we age. But we forget that grief and unsolved trauma we carry along a long, long time. No matter how older we get, it's always going to have a place unless we go back and do the work on sitting with these feelings, sitting with that trauma, sitting with that grief, and working through it. And that in itself is a huge challenge that older generations face because it's too much. It's just too much to do. It's too much effort. It's too much energy going into it. It's too painful. So that is also another challenge that we have, another limitation that we have. Now, I'm going to take a brief pause here, see, ask you if you have any insights on what we've spoken, anything that you'd like to add, because I'd love to listen. Anything, Mira ma'am, Dakshin ma'am.
As if you say stress, but
Mhm,
I do not find that type of the stress, touchwood.
mhm,
Uh, but just it may be aggravations. I can say like that one, aggravations. कि
mhm,
sometimes yes, किसी ने अगर कुछ नहीं किया तो we got very fast aggravate against that, like that. So I do not feel that that will be the past. That will be the part of stress. But
mhm,
how to count our stress, whether I am having stress or not, I don't know. So that maybe means
mhm,
in your language you may feel कि अरे ऐसा किया तो ये stress है. But
mhm,
uh, as in a gradually what we our ace is we are ready to accept everything. See,
mhm,
acceptance is also one part of the life.
mhm,
See, in case of I can't accept, I can't go ahead. I have
mhm,
to accept and go ahead. That is a easier way, I feel. If you don't want to go stress out, no doubt, स्ट्रेस तो आपको आएगा ही. आप
mhm,
एक्सेप्ट करो नहीं करो, आपको करना है, बात खत्म. बट
mhm,
अगर प्यार से अगर वही एक्सेप्टेंस ले लो तो वो स्ट्रेस की क्राइटेरिया में फिट नहीं होगा.
mhm,
आई फील दैट वे.
mhm,
सी,
mhm,
maybe because I'm athletes, so it I may my feeling is a different because whatever in this part, yes, I have to do this much, okay, I'm going.
mhm,
So that was my criteria, and I'm going through like that. No doubt, somebody is not listening. Means, for example, my grandchildren, they are not listening. I will be very hyper. अरे क्यों
mhm,
नहीं किया, like that. It may be sometimes burst out like that. अरे अभी
mhm,
का अभी होना चाहिए. Sometimes नहीं होता है. I agree. Then I told, okay, fine, Daksha, keep quiet. It is not your time. Let them,
mhm,
mommy, papa handle with them. You quiet. So
mhm,
then I shut my mouth. Myself, I will cool down. Ki, oh, come out with yourself, your whatever you are going in under the stress or whatever it is. Finish. Then it will take time, but I can manage that way.
mhm,
If you are in your words, if telling the stress, yes, it may be it because it's in a small fraction. It will come.
mhm,
I may not feel that ये स्ट्रेस है कि ये मेरा दिमाग की that maybe it's a hard time to go with me. I cannot
mhm.
manage. It may be.
Mhm.
That is the thing.
Thank
What do
you
you
for
say?
that.
Is it, do you feel that that will be the stress?
There's three things that you said, ma'am, that I'm going to think about a lot after this workshop. One, when you say acceptance is important, I agree. I totally understand that. This I don't know if this makes sense. Personally, I would say there have been times where my parents have told me that, this wasn't a big deal when we were growing up because we looked at it practically. It's the same ideology, like as you've mentioned, they also said the same thing, that if you're going to be stressed and then you're going to sit down and say you're stressed, you're just going to waste more time and get more stressed about it. Rather, there is also an option where you accept that you're stressed and then practically do something about it to not be stressed. Like you've said, right? Do the thing that you have to do that's making you stressed. You do something about it, and then maybe perhaps you might realize that that seems to disseminate or decline in some way. That does make sense. If you're asking me if is uh I'm not sure what the question was. If in my words it's right or wrong, ma'am, I wholeheartedly believe that not everybody has to live by a single one correct way of dealing with things. I think there for some of us, what seems healthy to one doesn't seem healthy to somebody else. But acceptance, I wholeheartedly agree. Another thing that stood out, what you told me, is when you mentioned that the like an incident where your grandchildren are not listening to you, and you told yourself that okay, this is not working out. This is not something that I have to do. That, and I think that is something we really need to talk about more. Where you can decide also. There is that option also. If we don't have control over stress, then who does, right? That makes sense. Thank you. Thank you for that. Mira, ma'am, anything?
Yeah. Uh, can you see me at least? I haven't
I
bought.
can.
I've shut the curtains because there's a lot of sun. Okay.
I can see.
I was going to say actually two things. One
Yes.
is that, when you said older people have a stigma about mental health, I think
Mm,
it kind of varies actually with each decade. So,
yes.
for example, I'm in my late 60s, and
Mm-hmm.
by the time I was in college, psychology was already a very popular subject. It
Mm-hmm.
was not rare to have good students going into psychology, good students, at least in the big cities,
Mm-hmm.
becoming therapists. And so it was much, much commoner than, say, a decade earlier, when you only went to a counselor when something was really very wrong.
Mm-hmm.
But by the time, I mean, it was kind of common for people to think that they would benefit from going to a therapist.
Mm-hmm.
So that stigma towards mental health has obviously been declining
Yes.
over the years. I mean, more and more people realize that actually someone from outside the family could be very useful
Mm-hmm.
in listening, and some professional person, and give you some good professional advice.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that yeah, I mean, very good therapists have done excellent work uh, with people of all ages. At least in my experience, I've really seen a lot of good therapists. I'm in Delhi, and it's really I mean, the therapists are, I think, so busy that they barely have time uh, to look up. And the second thing which I wanted to say was that older
Mm-hmm.
people can get very stressed worrying about their children and their grandchildren. It's something important to mention, because they're looking at the choices that they're making,
Mm-hmm.
and they might be worrying a lot about
Mm-hmm.
what they are choosing to eat, how when they choose to sleep, how they spend their money. You know what I mean? So I think it's a source of great stress for parents, and I think there's no other option but to ultimately let go, ultimately allow your children and grandchildren to choose their own path. But it's very difficult. And I think we get into advice giving mode and um,
Mm,
into trying to solve other people's problems and not our own.
mm,
So I just wanted to mention that as well, that it's a big source of stress thinking that the world should be like this. You know,
mm,
the world should be the way it was when we were growing up, or the world should be, or people should be, or our children should be. That I feel it's a big source of suffering for older people if they get caught in that
mm,
expectation that the world should be a particular way. You
mm.
know, so I just wanted to mention, otherwise I thought the points you made were excellent. I just wanted to add these two. Thanks.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. As you were saying, I was also just thinking about what you said at the first, right? That the stigma is definitely declining. This workshop is in itself a spoken example of that. We are here,
Yes.
all of us, we're all in different generations, we belong to different generations. We are here coming together and talking about it. That in
Yes.
itself proves it. And
Yes.
secondly, the point that you said that it hurts. It's difficult to let go when you're seeing it playing out right in front of your eyes. And to be able to let your children, your grandchildren choose their own paths. Absolutely, ma'am. That I can, I think I can imagine the kind of stress it can cause. Thank you for those points, both of you. Thank you so much. I think what Meera ma'am said also resonated in connection to what the action ma'am was saying about acceptance and letting go. After a point of time, you learn to let go because that is peace. That is how you let go of the stress also a little bit as you let go of the control. That makes sense. Great. Thank you for that. I am going to keep that in mind. So, moving on. Since we've spoken about what is stress, where it comes from, sources, how in these sources, why are we not able to manage them? Now we come to the best part. We look into how we can manage them. I was also thinking about what Daksha ma'am was saying. She mentioned that I don't know at which scale I know that I'm stressed. Things keep coming and going. So, ma'am, to that, I think most of us have no idea. Because the reason being most of us respond very differently in different levels. There doesn't seem to be an exact pinpoint level measure of, hey, when I reach this level, I'm stressed. Under this, I'm all right. Over that, oh, I'm a gone case. That's definitely an up and coming thing, I guess. But keeping that in mind, maybe it's helpful for us to use these techniques on a daily basis so that we know that the mindset that we feel when we are regulated and the mindset we have or the effects we have when we are not regulated, when there is a discrepancy between the both of that, I think that's when we realize we're stressed. I think that feeling of unsettlement at that point is where we realized last week I felt great. This week has just been utterly disastrous. Maybe I'm stressed right now. Again, it's a maybe, but we'll give it a shot and we'll figure it out. So, I'd like to say a couple of techniques for stress management. I'm pretty sure both of you have come across this many instances. You both seem like such relaxed people, honestly, at this point, compared to all the points I'm making. One is deep breathing, meditation, mindfulness, yoga. These are all concepts that we've heard since forever, that they seem to help regulating our mental and emotional health as well as our physical health. One particular part of breathing, one particular subsection called mindfulness, I would like to explain this technique called 444. 444, also contrastly called as square breathing, is where when in times of stress or even when we're not, you can just practice this on a daily basis also, is where you inhale for 4 counts. Now, while we do this, let's make sure that we are sitting comfortably, or we at least, if there's too much going on, it always helps to just take a step back for ourselves and inhale 4 counts. We hold for 4 counts. We exhale for 4 counts. That is the 444. And in the last part, if you'd like to change the counts, also, it's completely fine. It is very subjective to each one of us. Ideally, we would use the 444 count. So that is one breathing technique. Then we have something very interesting called guided imagery. Now, guided imagery mostly makes use of visualization, which makes use of our imagination along with breathing and mindfulness. It's a combination of techniques. Now, when our mind is caught up in worry, the best thing to do, they say, is always to imagine a place that gives you a sense of calm. It could be different for all of us. It could be a childhood home. It could be a beautiful memory we've had with a family member or alone. It could be the memory of another person who gives you comfort and calm. Could be a beach, could be the forest, could even just be your own room. Whatever it is, whichever one it is, we are going to try and shift our focus in imagination in that spot and time to that image. Now, what this does is not distraction alone, it also helps us to relax the body and shift our attention from all the stressful or anxious thoughts that we're having in that moment. How we do this is where we sit comfortably and we're going to picture ourselves in that peaceful location. So, what helps, I would say, is already when we start doing this, we will start with mindfulness, where we start with deep breathing. We can make use of the breath and the counts. 444 works in the beginning. We start off with that. When we've done practiced 444 for at least 4 to 5 times, at this point, the body is going to be more relaxed and more calm down in that sense. We get into that state of calmness. After that, we tap into our best imagination. We tap and visualize this beautiful, wonderful memory or place as if we're going back, putting ourselves in that place all over again. In this time, some of the questions that we can ask ourselves while we are doing this mentally is, what do we see around us? Do we see, if you're on a beach, do you listen to the waves? Do you hear the waves? Do you feel the sand? Do you see the seagulls? Do you see the sun setting? Do you see other people around? Asking these questions make it feel more authentic in that moment. That is what you see, what you hear, what you feel. Do you feel warm? Do you feel cold? Do you feel the breeze on your skin? Do you feel the warmth of the sun? All of these are questions that we can ask ourselves in that time. And then, as simple as that, just be. No need to rush out of it. This is your happy place. You've chosen it to be your happy place. Let yourself rest there in that place for a moment. In that point, it is just you and nobody else. And this place is calm, still, and it's everything according to the way you want it. It's just yours, nobody else's. That is guided imagery. Now, we are also going to be doing guided imagery in a few minutes so that we try it out because I'm very excited to do it. We will come back to that. Then, other ways that we help ourselves manage this is by having a particular routine and structure. Routine and structure are things that we, as human beings, we just have to live by. There is our bodies and minds work so well with a particular schedule. Now, the importance of having daily schedule is also inculcating something called anchors. Anchors are basically small, regular activities that you do every day without letting go. And it could be very, very small activities, like I would say mini habits. It could be taking a walk, or reading your newspaper, or sitting under the sun, or having your favorite cup of tea alone. Anything that you do to ground yourself. These are anchors. And it is important for us to include anchors in our daily life so that no matter how stressful their day gets, you know you have your anchor to sideline you wherever you want. They don't have to be big or complicated, they just have to be consistent. But that being said, I also understand that as days go by, as years go by, our days seem to be less structured. Habits seem to be sometimes okay to let go of on some days. That's all right. Nobody says that you need to have a rigid structure to stick to. Please listen to what you feel like in the beginning and end of the day as well. Please don't push yourself. If you don't feel like it, please don't do it. It's all right. But make sure that majority of the time, majority of the days, you do these habits or routines that you have. Then, while you inculcate good food, good diet, good sleep, it's also important to have good social engagement. Doesn't just have to be your own family members, but also be your friends, your volunteering that you do, your clubs, your hobbies. Please don't let go of them. They're very, very important. Even though some days you might feel like choosing something else is more important than this, remember that these are things that you do for yourself and no one else can do them for you. So that's that. Then we have cognitive techniques. First one is called reframing. This simply means that when there is an unhelpful thought, we turn that into a manageable thought. Reframing it would be where when we feel like I'm useless, right? It's so vague. But sometimes we do feel that. We can't help it. It just comes up. Or I'm too weak for this. I'm too non structured for this. Ask yourself, is that really 100% true? Fact check with yourself, investigate yourself in that point of time. Also ask yourself if somebody else was saying this about themselves, if somebody in the same place as I am is saying this, what would I tell them? Oftentimes, we are nicer to others than we are to ourselves. Maybe it's time that sometimes we also check in and be nice to ourselves too. Then we have thought stopping. Thought stopping is basically where each time there is an unhelpful thought coming up, you think of that traffic signal, the red light that says stop. Over time, what's going to happen is each time you have an unhelpful thought, you say, I'm useless, you think of the stop sign. Sit with that feeling. Over time, we're going to condition ourselves that every time something remotely close comes up like this, that thought is going to stop. It has to stop. Now, the last part of our workshop is the guided imagery that I was talking about. So let's do that. Okay. As simple as this. I would like for you to sit comfortably, or if you're sitting on a chair, I would like for you to lean back and relax. If you're holding your shoulders, just drop them. Just keep your back supported. Okay, hands free, hands on your thighs or your lap. Okay, now gently close your eyes. Take a deep breath in and breathe out. Breathe in and breathe out. Breathe in and breathe out. I would like for you to listen to my words very closely. Let's take a moment right now and slow down and turn inwards towards ourselves, towards our bodies. I would like for you to now imagine a very safe and peaceful place. This can be somewhere you've been before, like a garden, a beach, quiet temple, church, anywhere from your imagination. This is your place. Nobody else gets to share it. All yours. This is a place that, as soon as you think of it, the memory brings in peace and calm immediately. Let's gently notice how this place looks like. Let's notice the colors that you see around you. What are the shapes you see around you? What are the textures that you can feel? How do you feel when you're standing there in that moment? Let's focus on how your skin feels. Is the air hot or cold or cool? Let's listen very, very intentionally and closely to the sounds we can hear in our safe place. Are there birds? Are there trees dancing? Are there waves? Or is it just silence? Do we feel the breeze? Do we feel grass under our foot? Or do we feel very warm sunlight against our skin? This is your happy place. Let's just be here for a few minutes, for a few seconds. Let ourselves let go of control, of tasks, of errands we need to run right after this. Let's just forget that for a while and just be. Let yourself feel calm and safe in this place. While you imagine this place, do we also see ourselves standing in that place? What are we wearing? What is the expression on our face? You're going to gently take your hand, put it on your heart, and remind yourself, I can return to this place whenever I need peace. And I can return to this place whenever I need peace. And I can return to this place whenever I need peace. Let's stay there for a few more seconds. And whenever you're ready, you slowly bring that awareness back to the room that you're in, how you can hear the speed on the fan or the noises outside your window, and you come back to the school. Let's gently wiggle our fingers and toes and slowly open our eyes. Hey, I'd like to hear how that was for both of you. How was it? How was the guided imagery? Did anything come up?
That was a good feeling.
Okay.
Yeah, because
Mhm.
even I do the meditation.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I do
So,
meditations and yoga is my daily work.
mhm,
Uh, so I love this.
I'm glad. Guided imagery is something that we just don't pause in our lives. It's so hard to just pause and take a minute for ourselves. I
Yeah.
think this really is a great technique for us to add a little creativity to it while we do it.
Hmm. But your session was very, very nice, very informative at least. How to handle and tackle both. So at least it is add on our knowledge as per my
Mm,
see whatever you are growing age. Yes, you cannot deny. Yes, you are age.
mm,
So छोटे तो नहीं बन सकते हैं बड़े ही बनेंगे तो obviously I feel that acceptance should be there. नो ग्रीवांसेस छोड़ दो बाकी कुछ नहीं
I
yeah
absolutely get
but
that.
we have to dream. See, still age is a just number at that time I can say when you are
Mm,
dreaming. Yes, age is a number.
mm,
Still I go for a run and all these things. I do my marathon. I accept. So I'm fine at 74. I'm happy with that.
I'm glad you do look very content, man. I just hope that we all get to be as content and peaceful as you are when we get to that age.
Yeah. So I go for a ribbon dance. So
Mm,
like that, I'm enjoying. In short, because of after retirement, 12 hour we have work in 12 hours.
mhm,
So after that vacuum created, that was a big
mhm,
thing, very big thing. How to kill that 12 hour
mm,
because we have just worked just like donkey.
mm,
Because once we have entered into the bank, you are having a key holder, so handle with the customer, staff, and
mhm,
each and everything it will come till the closer.
mhm,
So you cannot say no to anything because it's a public relations. Because I have worked like that one. So that 12 hour was very hectic and how to pass my time
mhm,
after retirement, how to pass my time, that was a very big thing. But anyway, now I have come up from that. So socially and mentally, and my running is the best. So
mhm. Okay.
रोड है, आसमां है, हवा है, चलो, सब everything is a free, and you enjoy the thing because you people you will meet, you will talk, and even though in marathon also, so many people we meet them.
Mhm,
So they hi, hello. So it's make you lot of difference. Mental stress तो तुम्हारा चला जाएगा. बोले, oh auntie, you are running still. मैं तो, yes, I am running. I'm not comparing, but I am finishing. That's it. I wanted to finish. That's I do not want as in a podium, first or second or whatever it is. But I wanted to finish myself. Ki yes, life is like that. You have to run your track. You have to finish your track with enjoyment, with
Mm.
happiness. That's it. So I'm enjoying
I'm so
literally.
happy to hear that. Honestly, you also look so happy while you're talking about this. So I believe you. When you say you're happy, I do believe you.
So really, but
But what
I
you said
like.
is absolutely right.
Sorry.
What you were saying, I'm saying I completely resonate with that. Just because we're growing older doesn't mean we're getting less stressed. It's always going to be there. I guess it's in our control to
Mm,
choose if we want
correct.
to take it ahead or not.
Right. Means in case if you will not accept, then it will be hurdles for you mentally. Also, you feel then it will come as in a physically
Mhm.
like that. It because it affects our body. So no, I'm not ready to accept like that.
Thank you. Thank you so
Thank
much
you.
for
Okay.
being here and giving me these insights as well. I'm really going to think about them more. I see
Thank
that
you.
Miriam's not here, so it's okay. But yeah,
Thank
thank you
you.
so much for joining
Thank
me,
you, dear.
Shannon.
Thank you. Lots of love to you.
To you too, ma'am. Thank you. So,
Bye.
Krish, do we wind up?
Yeah, sure.
Yes, yes, sure.
Your session was very nice. Very nice. I enjoyed.
Ah, thank you so much. I love speaking to you as well.
Yeah. Okay, dear.
Seriously. I see your
Bye.
medals. So nice.
Yeah. This one is my medal. This one is a trophy.
Oh, that's wonderful.
So I'm happily enjoying. Happily. Really means touch wood. eh, I have not kept any grievances or whatever it is. आज का दिन है जी लो. That was my tendency. Whatever it comes, face it and go ahead. That way.
Great, ma'am. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Okay.
I'm going to keep that in mind.
Bye.